Supreme. It's one of, if not the most popular streetwear brands in the world. They've got over 14 stores, global recognition, and total equity of over $1 billion. So, you're probably wondering, what the hell is Supreme doing in the rise and fall of a streetwear brand series? But before you raid the comment section with, "No, Supreme is not dead, you idiot." You know how some of y'all do. But just hear me out. No, Supreme is in no way dead like, say, Dope or Last Kings is dead. With Supreme, it's more like Billionaire Boys Club or Bape. They're probably commercially at their highest point ever, but from the perspective of what they started out as, all three could be considered dead from the standpoint of how we once knew them. What do I mean by that? Let me explain. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall of Supreme. Before we get started, please do us a solid and smash that like button. If you watch YouTube videos enough, then you probably know it helps the videos in the search ranking, and we can use all the help that we can get in getting our videos out there to a larger audience. But with that being said, let's jump right in. There's really no need to go into a whole in-depth history of Supreme because tons of channels have done so already and you probably already know most of it. But to sum it up in case you don't, Supreme was started way back in 1994 by James Jiba in New York City. Supreme came from humble beginnings as a small shop on Lafayette Street that catered to skaters and all things skate culture. When Supreme first launched, there was no such thing as streetwear. Supreme, along with a few other legacy brands, helped build and shape the genre as we know it today. Jiba always had a love for skating and counterculture. It was less commercial, it had more edge and more FU type stuff. The kids Jiba employed often were skateboarders themselves, who were cool and opinionated, and the first store employees were extras in Larry Clark's iconic movie Kids. The brand would become popular for their tongue-in-cheek designs and collabs, but nothing was more sought after than the famed box logo tees. Over the years, Supreme would build a core fan base by staying true to self. They didn't do press, they didn't do mass productions. Supreme instead opted to produce pieces in small quantity, and once they were gone, that was it. They never came back. This was originally done for practicality, as Jiba didn't want to get stuck with tons of pieces that he couldn't sell, but it quickly became a staple of the brand and pioneered a new method of fashion distribution. For years, Supreme was sort of an underground phenomenon. I mean, you had to know, and you had to be either in New York or LA to get your hands on the stuff, until the website, of course. This was the days where people took pride in sleuthing the web in search of the most obscure and hard to find brands out there. Supreme was sort of a cult thing that the masses had no idea of, but this will all soon change. Fairfax Ave in California is a mecca for streetwear. It was home to many of the most popular streetwear brands ever, and was the second location to open for Supreme. Tons of kids would hang out in the area looking to soak up the culture and take part in the movement. One of these kids went by the name of Tyler Gregory Okama, better known today as Tyler the Creator. But back then, he was just some weird kid that hung out at the Supreme shop making funny videos. He even actually worked there for a time. But little did anyone know, this kid had bigger aspirations. In 2011, the then 19-year-old rapper burst onto the scene with his viral Yonkers video, in which he wore a Supreme 5-panel hat while eating a cockroach, and then went on to hang himself at the end. But hey, that was Tyler for you. But over the next few years, whenever you saw Tyler, you saw him wearing Supreme. This would catapult the brand into the world of pop culture as Tyler's popularity shot to the moon. The lines on Thursdays were always long, but after the boom, they were crazy, stretching down the block. In the years following this, Supreme's brand image has rapidly grown in the mainstream. From featuring Kate Moss in a promotional campaign to collaborating with Louis Vuitton and ultimately being valued at $2 billion. Despite the newfound fame, the brand never softened its image and stayed true to its gritty New York roots. They would do things like produce pieces that featured legit porn images, but then at the same time were being worn by pop stars like Rihanna. As Angel Diaz wrote in 2015 for Complex, quote, "Supreme is still cool and will be for the foreseeable future. It's a brand that hasn't lost its soul yet." But alas, that's kind of what happened over the last few years. A quick browse on Grail will show pieces that once brought in astronomical prices are barely above retail now. The media circus that once surrounded the brand has slowly died down. But what exactly has caused this? In my opinion, Supreme began losing its soul when it first went corporate. In 2017, Supreme sold roughly 50% stake to Carlyle Group for about $500 million. Mind you, this is the same Carlyle Group that makes a ton of money servicing the military-industrial complex, so yeah. And any old school Supreme fan might wonder what the hell would they want to get into the streetwear business for? But if you look deep, you would see that this is what Supreme would become to be looked at as. A thing, a commodity, stuff, hype. Don't get me wrong, it was a huge moment for the brand. They were valued at $1 billion at the time of the Carlyle sale, and a milestone would soon occur. When Supreme and the Louis Vuitton collab dropped, it was huge for several facets. First off, Supreme had been threatened with legal action by Louis Vuitton years before for an unauthorized design. Now, the fact that this same snotty Italian company was falling all over themselves to work with Supreme was testament of how much they had grown in the pop culture. The Louis Vuitton collab, in my opinion, was literally the peak of the roller coaster drop for Supreme. On the one hand, it marked how they had arrived as a brand. Any of the original guys that were around from the old days, I'm sure, had been paid out very nicely, and the entire world was clamoring for the pieces, it seemed. They were now accepted by the same entities that had once shunned them previously and were being sold in high-end retailers. But from the perspectives of the OG fans, Supreme had strayed. It was no longer valuing being the skater kid, if you will, of the game, and had embraced being accepted by the proverbial jocks. And it's not just my opinion. Look at the resale prices, and the amount of products still available after Supreme's weekly Thursday drops reveals that the appetite for the brand is no longer as crazed as it once was. Prices on the secondary market are down across the board, even for the pieces that were and still are the most sought after. Whereas anything with a box logo on it would fetch $800 at minimum previously, now you can find them as low as $150, which still counts as a markup, but nowhere near where it used to be. While many of Supreme's pieces still sell out rapidly online at 11 a.m. each Thursday, the amount of stock still left over in the minutes, hours, and days after is also remarkable when compared to the past drops. The mad dash to purchase anything but the most high profile of releases is all but gone, making it easier to cop Supreme at retail or with a lower markup at resale since the days prior to Tyler the Creator helping set the brand on fire. Which is all good from the viewpoint of the suits in the corporate office that own half the brand, but not good at all if you're a day one fan of what the brand used to be. Even though the products themselves were largely the same, including graphics with anti-establishment attitude and basics such as hoodies or canvas pants, done well at a reasonable price. Collaborations still include the likes of Rick Rubin or the First Lady of Graffiti, Lady Pink, the sort of musicians and artists who align with the values of Supreme and its audience. Drastically different is the scale of Supreme's operation and the attention it receives though. Each product release is no longer quite as limited as it once was, a natural result when you think about the kind of money that was invested into the brand. Just 3 years after Carlyle Group bought half the company, they would flip Supreme in a deal with VF Corp, the parent company for North Face, Timberland, Vans, and others, who paid $2 billion to acquire the brand in full. And it was at that point that Supreme as we knew it was fully dead, for it was now 100% corporate. Supreme's new parent company promised at the time to leave the $2 billion baby alone to continue doing what it had done best, with founder James Jiba in charge. But that promise can only go so far with so much money at stake. Supreme has been opening new stores across the world at a much more rapid pace. Prior to 2016, new outposts opened on average of roughly one every 3 years. In the years since, new locations have come to Brooklyn, San Francisco, Milan, and Berlin. The latter two being opened in the last year alone. More stores means more product, making the market even more overcrowded with Supreme though. A large part of Supreme's appeal used to be the proposition of wearing something that few else could acquire. But the quality of exclusivity is basically gone today. Unless you're talking about the price prohibitive stuff such as much of the LV collab. I saw Supreme shirts on StockX reselling for as low as $45 now. In this series, we learned that hype could be the gift and curse to many a streetwear brand. It has made brands and then broke them. And in the case of Supreme, though many view this as too big to fail, could it be that since it's so big, it's just taking longer to fall? Supreme has gone from a niche underground phenomenon to a globally recognized entity, so popular that they now have TV shows centered around parodying it. Ultimately I think Supreme is so big that it will always be around to some degree. It's too large of a brand with way too much money invested for them to just stop producing pieces. And as long as they keep dropping new stuff, they'll always have people ready to copy. But what do you think? Is Supreme as big of a deal to you now as it was in the past? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. Also, if you made it this far, then hopefully that means you liked the video. And if so, please smash that like button for us, because like we said, liking the video helps us spread our reach and continue to get our videos in front of more people and helps our channel grow. Also, if you want to be notified every time we drop a new video, then hit the subscribe button, and after that, hit the notification bell to be updated each time we drop a new video, which we do every week. But with that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out. Until next time, peace.